Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning for this session. We have an amazing session together for you with multiple stakeholders and experts from across the industry. Let me just take this moment to do a quick introduction for Tariq Hussain. Tariq runs the strategic sales team for S&P across Japan and Asia Pacific. And together with Asim, who's heading SAP services within Cloud4C, they will be talking about SAP app migration and transformation. And we will hear from them how they are helping customers across the region move over to the S4 environment. And then we have with us cloud migration experts from Microsoft. We have Luca Doublejack, who's running the SAP Azure and advanced migrations for Microsoft across APAC again. And together with Dilip, who's pre-sales VP for Cloud4C, Dilip and Luca would talk about what kind of cloud migration journeys and paths are available to customers these days, and also cover why why Azure is the best environment for your SAP workloads. And finally, we will have the RPA expert, Sunil, who runs the Cloud4C RPA practice globally. We will hear from Sunil how customers across the region are leveraging RPA technologies within their SAP environments. So let's look at the agenda. Welcome is pretty much done. Introduction, so I'll cover the introduction of Cloud4C and how we help customers migrate their SAP workloads with confidence. It's obviously a complex workload that needs a lot of due diligence and care. So we make sure that we provide you the right level of confidence. I'll call in Dilip and Luca to run SAP and Azure session, why SAP and Azure. And then Dilip would talk about cloud transformation, how Cloud4C is the best partner for you for that transformation journey. And like I said, we will have the gamification session, which is 5 odd minutes. You want to run the game with us, absolutely welcome. If you want to take a break, get some coffee, toilet break or whatever, I think that would be a good time. And then we will introduce our partners, S&P, from the region, and then we will talk about how the migration journey can be taken on, and we will leverage some of their expertise in that area. And like I said, RPA after that, and then I will talk about offer and some closing remarks. So that is essentially the agenda for this morning. So let's talk about Cloud4C. Essentially, we are a cloud managed services partner or a player in the market, have been around for 10 odd years. And we are calling ourselves application focused. We are one of the largest or the largest SAP managed services provider globally, with almost 550 overall success stories. We are a global player. I'll cover that footprint in a few minutes, but we are across 25 countries. We are headquartered out of Singapore with about 2,000 odd people globally. We have multiple certifications and awards. So most importantly, Microsoft Partner of the Year. We are Expert MSP certified. We are SAP's Partners of the Year for last couple of years. And also Infosys is a good partner for us. On the platform supported, so we support the cloud platforms of Azure. We have a private cloud offering as well. And then we have certifications across SAP and Microsoft. SAP, we pretty much have most of the relevant certification to help you with your cloud journey, to help you manage your SAP environments with the right level of care. Next. This is the footprint for us across global locations. So within ASEAN or Asia Pacific, we are present in most countries directly. We have customers in these countries. We have local sales and pre-sales resources. So if you want to engage with a local stakeholder on a particular requirement that you may have, or you're a regional customer or a global customer and you want us to engage across multiple locations, then we can do that. Just a snapshot of our presence globally. Next. These are some of the customers. So we are a born in cloud company, but we have enterprise customers, global multinational customers across industries, top banks, top manufacturing companies, media companies, pharma and financial services company. Overall, about 60 of Fortune 500 customers, enterprises are our customers. So when you engage with us, we understand the scale and complexity of your mission critical workloads in your complex environments. Yep. So we bring that right experience and expertise to your business. Next. This is just a snapshot of compliance requirements. So when we engage with our customers across the region, a lot of times they want us to take care of the regulatory requirements of their environments. And we have been helping customers with all of these certifications. So if you're within a regulatory industry, then we can provide you the relevant compliance requirements to meet your local requirements. Next, Rishik, thanks. And this finally essentially captures overall what we offer as a services company. We have multiple applications that we provide managed support for, managed services for primarily SAP. There are a few others that we also manage. And then we add to the application an overall infrastructure managed services. So whether it's your migration journey, consulting around that, whether it's managed security, your BCDR, business continuity requirements, desktop as a service is obviously taking off in this remote work from home kind of environments. We also provide cloud hosting, other managed services, and also we have advanced managed services. A lot of customers are opting for cloud native Devops services. So we do that. Rpa as a service, we will cover in the session later. And obviously, Hana migration is the key topic for discussion today. And like it says, we offer it across multiple different platforms. So overall, a great company to engage with for your mission critical requirements, SAP or otherwise. We look forward to working with you in the near future. Please give us your feedback, and let's engage as we move forward. Moving along, let me introduce Dilip, who's the Vice President Pre-Sales Cloud4C. He's our internal Cloud4C SAP on Azure expert. So Dilip would have a conversation with Luca. Luca, as I mentioned, is joining us from Microsoft. He takes care of SAP and Azure for Microsoft across APAC. Dilip, over to you. Take us through the next few minutes of your session, please. Thanks.
Yeah, so thank you, Manish. Good morning, good afternoon, and evening, everyone based on the time zone you're joining from. And thank you for joining the webinar. So my name is Dilip, and I take care of pre-sales around hyperscale cloud services in Cloud4C. I have around 20 years of ACP and around 4 years of Microsoft Azure background. So first of all, I want to set the background for today's webinar topic around SAP Cloud and S/4HANA migration. So I think all the SAP customers already know that SAP has released S/4HANA in 2015 with the deadline of around 2025 initially. And in last 5 years, around 10%, so around 15 to 20,000 customers have moved to the S/4HANA platform. And SAP has recently increased the deadline to 2027. So S/4HANA comes with lots of simplification and provide multiple benefits like speed due to the in-memory HANA database and real-time analytics and platform for the innovation. So over the last 4 years, I had an opportunity to connect with hundreds of customers, mainly on the topic of when and how and where to migrate suit on HANA or S/4HANA platform. So number one concern for the customer was need to change the hardware. So when you are moving from a ECC to suit on HANA or S/4HANA, you need a bigger hardware, which is HANA certified. And the number two is the change, migration effort and the change management effort, right? So in summary, customer were not able to create the business case to migrate to S/4HANA. And most of the customer waited for the hardware refresh to happen. And they wanted to combine the hardware refresh with the S/4HANA migration. And they were also looking for the migration to the cloud platform like Microsoft Azure, right? So if I remember correctly, around 1.5 years back when I was with Microsoft, SAP had interviewed their top 200 customers on their cloud preference, and 2 out of the 3 customers were inclined towards Microsoft Azure. So we have Luca from Microsoft on the expert panel, who manages sales for SAP in Azure apart from other workloads. Hi, Luca. Good morning.
Good morning, Dilip. Hello.
Yeah. Hi. So, Luca, can you please walk us through why Microsoft Azure would be the best cloud option for SAP workload?
For sure. Happy to do that. Hopefully, you can also see my screen and myself on the video. And if there are any questions, please do go into Q&A and just ask them. We'll make sure that we answer them. So, hi everyone. So, as Dilip said, I'm managing SAP and other advanced migration workloads across Microsoft Asia. I wanted to spend a few minutes basically just talking about why this is such an urgent project that we need to embark upon. So we did a lot of analysis. It was actually interesting to see your replies because, you know, as Microsoft and SAP, we have done a lot of analysis of the market to actually understand what our customer needs and what they would like to do. And one of the analysis was done by Gartner. They basically identified that by 2025, 80% of the enterprises, so bigger customers, will shut down their data center. And that changed dramatically from 2020, right? So in the next 5 years, there's going to be a tremendous focus on how to shut down the data centers and actually move to another platform, hyperscaler platform, and optimize the business processes in that way, and kind of get out of the IT if that's not the core to the business of the company. Then we did the analysis and we were looking at asking customers, so how will you allocate your enterprise spending? And IDC then gave us result that by 2025, 60% of all the enterprise IT spend will be allocated to public cloud, right? So now you're seeing the shift, right? So we're seeing that we need to serve our customer in the best way, and SAP is a really, really crucial workload. So that's why we're focusing on this really, really heavily as a platform vendor, like what Microsoft is. SAP did similar on their side. So what they have done is they looked into their HANA customer install base, and they asked them, okay, you know about the deadline of 2025, you know the extension of 2027. We want to understand, like, how many of you do actually want to migrate to S/4HANA? 73% said, yeah, we will go to S/4HANA. We see benefits of the new functionality, of the speed it brings, of the easier ways of how to do the business. And 72% out of those said, yeah, and public cloud will most likely be our platform of choice, right? So this is where we as Microsoft want to help our customers. Now you would be asking yourself, why would I run SAP on an Azure, which is Microsoft hyperscaler cloud platform? We have kind of like 4 pillars we like to talk to our customers about, and they understand what the benefits are. So the first pillar that's super important is actually your platform proven to run this workload for us? And Microsoft has, I would say, the most certifications out of the hyperscaler cloud providers in terms of hardware, SAP hardware combinations that are certified to write SAP. Currently, I think we have 37 of those certifications with new ones coming. And we have, different sizes of virtual machine. You can run up to 12 terabytes in a VM, running your HANA database. We can support any database if you decide not to yet go with HANA. So we have certified those for SAP as well. We did a lot of analysis also around what does this bring in terms of cost. So there is also a publicly available Forrester research that looked into the SAP on Azure deployments and the return on investment that they bring. So it's an easier story to build that business case and making sure that you can convince your company into the direction of migrating to hyperscaler or Azure in this case. We have also a lot of different tools that can manage your cost while you are running on our public cloud platform, and many other things that are integrated into our platform to run the SAP environment. You also need to be aware that we are the 6th biggest SAP customer, and we are running our whole SAP system, and we have everything that's possible to buy from SAP. We have migrated everything on Azure. So we are first in line to test every new functionality, making sure that we know how to run it and that our customers get the benefits out of that. So it's having that platform proven. The second part is around security and compliance. So the data needs to be secure, right? If it's your ERP data, it needs to be superbly secure, right? So what we do as Microsoft, we spent over $1 billion on security products that fall into and are integrated into Azure platform. So that's $1 billion per year. We're actually one of the biggest security vendors on the planet, although you wouldn't perceive us like that because we integrate our security products many times directly into the platform, and you just get it as a part of using our platform. So there are things like Azure Security Center that look into your environment and look at all the security, I would say, events that might be happening in that. We have an Azure Sentinel, which is actually CM running on Azure. And the nice thing is we integrate that with SAP. So the latest functionality is integrating our CM system with SAP, pulling security information from our SAP system, presenting it in one coherent way so you can quickly see if there is a challenge in your environment. We also go beyond that. We do it, with artificial intelligence. We kind of manage to see how your users are behaving in the environment. So it's not just a point security solution, it's kind of behavioral solution as well. If they do some weird combination of activities, we immediately report it or block the person from Active Directory or security access to the environment. So really advanced ways of how you can protect your environment. Of course, we also have the biggest variety of compliance certifications, which is many times superbly important, right? You need to be, especially if you're in a more regulated sector, you need to have those certifications in hand. And then we integrate SAP into our core platform. So for example, Azure Backup as a service can back up your HANA database regularly. You just define the policy. You don't need to buy a third-party backup product because we do that for you. Azure Site Recovery will migrate your application servers by default, and we will do that in a way that's cost-effective. So we have a lot of things that we can actually do for you as a part of the platform and what we offer. The third thing that our customers are usually concerned about and they want to understand more is, okay, I have this amazing ERP system with a lot of data running on your public cloud. How can I get some more insights out of their data? I know there's ways how to do that on SAP, and I've leveraged some of them, but maybe I want to be more flexible in some ways or connect to some other environments or maybe some other solutions, right? And we can actually do that in an easy way. We have advanced analytics solutions on Azure that can integrate and pull the data out of the SAP. We can integrate also with the SAP Cloud platform that runs in Azure, right? So we're deploying that in our data center so you can quickly connect to that. And then there's a lot of solutions around IoT where we connect Azure IoT solutions with SAP Leonardo solutions. The benefit of our IoT solutions is the fact that Azure is really a truly hybrid cloud. So we can collect the data from different on-premise environments, do some logical or machine learning already on the on-premises environment before we pull the data into the public cloud and interact with SAP. So there's a lot of different options we can do that. We also can interact with any productivity tools you have deployed. For example, many of you might be either Office 365 or M365 customers. So these things are integrated from security level, single sign-on, to also how we integrate different solutions with SAP data. And you will see a lot of new things coming in the next months around Teams integrations, around Power Platform integrations with SAP. Chatbots, that's already available and you can easily deploy chatbots, pulling data from SAP, integrate it, in example, into Teams platform or your websites, etc. So integrations into insights, innovation, that's really important. And then lastly, we like to partner with our customers. And that's twofold. Like we partner with SAP. We are 30 plus years partnering with SAP. Compared to other hyperscalers, we are really in a marriage for a long time. Because you need to be aware, SQL and Windows were the core platforms to run SAP when this was deploying data centers in many times, right? and we know how to manage SAP technology. We have our engineers sitting with SAP engineers in Waldorf, in Germany. We're working together to make sure that whatever they deploy can run on Azure, whatever enhancements we bring on Azure, they can leverage and they certify to run with SAP and integrate different products, right? So it's really, really important that you know that SAP as your core ERP vendor and Microsoft as your platform vendor are working together hand in hand. Then, of course, we also try to make sure that our partners and us as a cloud provider help you drive your business. We're not here to compete with you. We actually offer our platform and we try to offer it in the best possible way at the best possible TCO for you to run your ERP system and other applications. With that, so those are the 4 pillars, right? Proven platform, unmatched security and compliance, superbly important. Unlimited insights in innovation to get that insights into data and to innovate with the new things beyond just having your ERP deployed, but deploying into other solutions. And of course, being a partner that you can trust. Now, of course, you can say that's all nice. It's great. We're not ready. We're not on this stage of the journey yet. So how do we actually proceed? What could be the step? And here we also have you covered, because we do not force anyone to do anything unnatural. As Dilip said, you have different reasons of why you would migrate. Some of you are not yet in the hardware refresh cycle. Some of you think you still are not need that innovation on insights, or you will do it in a different way. But some of you might be there and you're thinking, okay, I need to make a really big decision. How do I go to a hyperscaler public cloud? And here you can choose your right path. We see some customers that say, I'll just go out of my data center. I will do a homogeneous or heterogeneous lift and shift. So I'm moving with my Oracle database, with my SQL database. We can run that. We certify that. So you can just actually move with the minimum changes. You basically just run on a hyperscaler to see the benefits and start pulling maybe some data out and getting the benefits of the public cloud. And when you're ready, and most of you will be soon, migrate to S/4HANA or BW HANA. That's one way. Some customers say, hey, I'm going to go to lift and shift first, and then I'm going to try the HANA database, but still run my ECC, so Suite on HANA, and then migrate later. That's an option too. We see a lot of customers that are migrating, and as they are migrating, they say, okay, I'm going to try out HANA database. I want to see the performance the improvement in performance. I want to see how I can leverage some of the new things. So they migrate to cloud and change the database to HANA. We support that. It's really the majority of customers doing now. And many of you are already deciding to go for S/4HANA. Of course, we complement all of those different migration paths with the SaaS solution that SAP provides, and they're running on Azure. So you need to understand as well, SAP, they run 28 of their production system on Azure. They have chosen Microsoft Azure as their platform to run their business on. So subsequently, they're also migrating all of their SaaS solutions onto Azure platform. So SuccessFactors, Commerce Cloud, all of those things are actually deployed in the Azure on the Azure platform. So as you use them, you can easily integrate with your ERP system running on Azure. So it's really a comprehensive solution. But here, you cannot do it alone. So we have a lot of our partners like Cloud4C that will help you on that journey, and they have a lot of understanding of what your requirements are. So Dilip, I'll hand it over back to you so you can walk us through on how Cloud4C could help.
So I'll just touch upon the SAP skills what Cloud4C is having. So we are the partner, premium partner with SAP. So initially it was called HANA Enterprise Cloud, which is now called SAP Managed Services. And as part of this contract, we are managing multiple complex SAP landscape, around 180 plus customer as a SAP HANA Enterprise Cloud or SAP Managed Services. So you can see the different SAP solution, what we are managing right from the ERP, S/4HANA, BW HANA, business objects, CRM and all. And we are also managing the different third-party solutions like OpenText and SAP Hybris. And there are different other extended portfolio what are normally integrated with SAP. And on the left-hand side, you can see the different compliances also we have managed, right? So you can see the different country compliances, like for Australia, it is Arab compliance. For Singapore, it is MS compliance, GDPR, And for the industries like a pharma company, we are managing the good practices, GXP compliance. So all these compliances we have managed on the SAP landscape as part of our 550 plus SAP customer. Yeah, if we can go to the next slide. Yeah. So we are actually managing different platform services. So as part of the erstwhile, which was called SAP HANA Enterprise Cloud, we were managing up to the SAP basis layer, and we were managing all the different platform services, right from the infrastructure, operating system, database, and up to the SAP basis layer. So you can see all the monitoring, backup, HA and DR solutions, complexity in the HADR, optimization, the administration across the different layers, build services, performance optimization, and the security services for the full stack. Yeah, if you can go to the next slide. Yeah. So over the last 4 or 5 years, we are managing around 550 plus customer, and we have built our IP around the automation of the different layer. So you can see the all this automation, what we have done as part of our IP, and we are leveraging it for all our SAP customer. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. So coming to the S4 HANA, so as Luca mentioned, right? So there are different options for going to the S4 HANA platform, right? So there are some customers who have heavily customized their current ECC landscape, and they cannot migrate to the S4 HANA. So they are actually preferring for a greenfield approach for going to the S4 HANA. Some customer who have not done a lot of customization, and they can prefer the brownfield option for the system conversion using the DMO and SUM tool. The third option, which is kind of a hybrid, or which is called a BLUEFIELD migration. So this will be covered by my colleague Asim and Tariq, how we can do the selective data migration using SNP tools for different scenarios like a data carving out or the merger scenario. Yeah. So this is the typical customer life cycle for moving to the cloud, right? So in general, for all the different workload, including the SAP, we start with the different assessment for the customer landscape. So there are different tools available as part of the cloud assessment framework like Azure Migrate. And when we do this, we get the insight into the customer landscape. What is the right sizing needs to be done? What are the different options available? What is the dependency between different systems? All this is gathered as part of the assessment of the customer landscape. So this goes into the planning section, and we based on the customer discussion, either it falls out into the migration bucket or the modernization bucket. And once the migration or the modernization is happening, we are managing the customer landscape or all the SAP system or the integrated non-SAP system, the full management using AI operations, the security, and the optimization. So we normally ask customer when they are moving to Microsoft Azure, they can move for first 2 to 3 months. They can go on a pay-as-you-go model, and then they can understand what is the correct sizing. So when you are moving to the hyperscaler, you don't need to think about 5 years horizon, right? So you can right size it, whatever is required in your daily scenario. And maybe let's say if you want to scale up during the month end and the quarter end, you can do it that way also, right? So this is, we are managing across the SAP as well as non-SAP. For SAP, we normally ask the early watch alert kind of a thing during the assessment phase. And based on that, we can actually do the right sizing on the cloud platform. We have 24/7 NOC and SOC available, and we manage the 23 center of expertise. Like we have a center of expertise for Azure, backup, monitoring. So we have different center of expertise for managing the customer workload. Next slide, please. Yeah. So coming to the application modernization approach, be it a non-SAP system or the SAP system, right? So there are different R scenario, right? So it normally falls into the 3 to 4 different scenarios. So if you see it on the left-hand side, retire, encapsulate, or the replace, right? So initially you take a decision whether you want to retire the system and want to go on to the SaaS platform, or you want to replace it with SaaS platform, or you want to encapsulate with it within the different platform systems and all, right? So one option can be from a SAP side. Let's say one customer I was working with, they moved from SAP CRM to MS Dynamics SaaS platform, right? So it can be based on the customer scenario what they want to do, right? So that is one is a retirement or the replacement. The second option, rehosting and replatforming, right? So if you are on a, let's say, Oracle or AIX platform, you can do the replatforming or rehosting on the Microsoft Azure platform. And let's say from a SAP side, you can do migration as is, or you can do the migration to the S/4HANA. So this falls into the rehosting or the replatforming. The third option for non-SAP, normally you do the, you plan to use the PaaS platform as a service on the Microsoft Azure. Let's say if you have a SQL server, you want to go for the SQL PaaS services, that is possible. But this is not possible for SAP workload, but I'm just talking about for the non-SAP scenario. And then re-architecting or the rebuilding, right? So when you are re-architecting, you go for the different services which is available on the Microsoft Azure platform, like serverless system, serverless services, or the PaaS platform, or you can use the containerization or the microservices, right? So more from a SAP side, the typically SAP is more of a monolithic. It is not more of a microservices, although SAP provides the microservices option on their SAP cloud platform. But if we are talking about the S/4HANA, it is more of a monolithic system. But you can still do the re-architecting or the refactorings in this surround system, which I will cover in the next slide. Yeah, so next slide, please. Yeah. So the first part, what you can integrate your SAP with Microsoft Azure services is the security. You can use the Azure Active Directory, and you can leverage the different security features like multi-factor authentication, conditional based access, and you can secure your SAP workload onto the Microsoft Azure. The second option is Office application. I think 90% of the worldwide SAP customers are using Office 365 also. They can integrate this with SAP. They all both reside on the same Azure platform, and integration becomes easier. There are inbuilt integration options available on the Azure platform. The third one is business application. If you are using a Dynamics 365 for your CRM workload, this can be integrated with your SAP system. Then what Luca has discussed, right? You can do the analytics on top of your SAP workload. You can use the Power BI in other services. Then the different data factory, if you want to do integration with the different systems, that also you can do it. Then the big data side, right? So SAP customer also have the non-SAP system and the different IoT platforms also, right? Let's say if it is a health industry, they are monitoring patients, or if it is, let's say, the refinery where you want to measure the pressure and the temperature in the refinery tank. So all this data, if you want to integrate into the big data, and on top of that, if you want to run some insight, using the AI platform on Azure, that also you can do it. And the final one is streaming, which I already discussed, the data like streaming data like patient monitoring or the refinery tank monitoring. These are all the real-time analytics. You can do it on the Microsoft Azure platform. Right. So from Cloud4C, we provide 3 different support models. So one is the dedicated model where all the resources will be dedicated to the single customer. The second option is this shared model where we actually leverage the different center of expertise, and all the employees, Cloud4C employees, will be working across the multiple customer, and customer gets the benefit of the TCO reduction. The third option is the hybrid model. Some customer prefer that, let's say in a project, they want a dedicated resources, but let's say in operation, they want to have a shared model. That is also possible with Cloud4C. Yeah, so next slide. So why SAP with Cloud4C, right? So there is a lot of content on this slide, but if I want to summarize, we have very good experience in managing SAP. We are managing some Fortune 500 customer, very complex SAP landscape. We have deployed and we have created an IP around automation right up to the basis layer as part of the SAP HANA Enterprise Class engagement. And apart from that, the second one is the Devops. By implementing Devops, you can actually deploy the changes faster into your production system. For example, let's say if you're on an on-premise system, if you want to deploy some changes, sometimes what happens is only your production system has the high availability or the clustering enabled. And sometimes the change fails in the production system because the HA is not there in your quality system. So when you move to Azure like hyperscaler, you can build the pre-production system just for 2 or 3 days for testing, and everything goes fine after that because it's a very similar platform which you build for just for the testing, right? So you can build your CI/CD pipeline and everything. And Cloud4C is also certified for DevOps for SAP also, right? So the story is mainly basically the automation, DevOps, and the automation across the different layers. So the last one is the automation of business process using the robotic process automation, which my colleague Sunil will cover in the last session. The next session is on the topic of switch to cloud, how you can migrate to S/4HANA. So I would like to welcome Asim, who is my colleague and heading the SAP services worldwide, and Tariq, who is managing the sales for SNP for Japan and Asia Pacific. So welcome Asim and Tariq, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dilip, and thank you, Luca, as well, and the team for keeping us so engaged and engrossed in some lovely insights with regards to the innovation happening with SAP on Azure and Cloud4C being the leading forefront arm in terms of taking the innovation to the customers. My name is Asim Gupta, and I'm responsible for the SAP business at Cloud4C, and I'm joined with my friend and partner, Tariq Hussain, who's from the SNP organization. We'll quickly take you through to the next session. It won't take too much of your time. I think it's been a long session as well, but I think what's important now is to take the messaging forward in terms of a solution and a package and an offering which we are taking to you. What does it really mean for you as an SAP user and a customer is really the key in the next 5 to 6 slides. So you've seen the Switch to Cloud theme of the session and the webinar, and the really idea is to really explain you what Switch to Cloud means. So by now you've heard a lot about the managed services, and you've seen how Cloud4C is pioneering in this space globally across 25 countries and 52 cities, across various continents. We have more than 400 odd customers, serving in the various capacities, primarily in the managed services space. But managed services is just one portion of the whole portfolio and the packaging that we're trying to offer. What customers these days are looking for is the safe haven and a safe journey towards movement towards an S/4HANA environment. How do they transform their ECCs and the older ECC releases into an S/4HANA release? And how do they take it forward in terms of running and making the operation smooth enough, in a seamless manner, in a cost-effective manner, in a fast manner, in a risk-free manner. So this is what the offering is. So what we offer is a complete package, which includes SAP Cloud Managed Services on an Azure platform, bundling it up with S/4HANA transformation services. So be it an implementation, be it a migration, selective data migration. Data seems to be one of the critical factors in terms of migrating to S4, especially when you're doing a migration rather than a process re-engineering in a greenfield environment. And then the last portion of it is the application management services as well, which makes a seamless transition from the build team to the run team. And it not only gives you a single stop shop or a single source vendor to deliver a complete package, but it also allows you to reduce the cost and the risks associated with dealing with multiple vendors. Next slide, please. Yeah, why do we have to take this approach? I think what we've seen is there are a few aspects which we come across when we deal with various customers across the globe. One of them is obviously, the cost and the overheads associated with it. So we've taken the burden away. We are now offering a no capex approach. So any customers, any potential parties who want to move towards S4 HANA on an Azure cloud platform, we don't take any upfront payments, which basically means that you basically start paying for what you use on an outcome based model, in which you only pay a monthly fixed managed services fee, and all the deliverables, all the services with regards to the managed service, the Azure consumption, the migration service, and the application management services is completely baked into the managed services fee. That takes away a lot of burden in terms, especially in these times when cost becomes an important bottleneck towards making such decisions from a CIO and a CFO perspective. Now, beyond the cost, I think there is a lot of risk also, which we perceive these days when we talk to customers in terms of movement to an S4 HANA, and that's where the S&P experience and the heritage comes into play. S&P has delivered more than 12,000 S4 HANA projects globally, and that's where there's a great partnership that we're trying to strike between S&P as well as Microsoft. I think three of us, in terms of managing the SAP environments as well as migrating and delivering innovations, are really in the forefront of our own specific areas. And I think that's where Cloud4C is trying to bring all the important players together and deliver a outcome based model. Next slide, please. So what's the underlying foundation behind this whole packaging and making it faster, risk-free kind of an approach? Is the whole SAP Automation Factory, where Cloud4C has done significant investments. This allows us to accelerate your S4 journey on your choice of cloud provider. And it allows us to pass on the automation dividend, whether it is in terms of cost, innovation, efficiency, or risk. So automation dividend obviously becomes an important factor, because again, when you talk about innovation, when you talk about automating some of the mundane tasks, there are hundreds of tasks involved in a managed services operations, dashboards, monitoring, as well as the migration, such as pre-migration tasks, code remediation, data migrating selective data, some of the functional tasks like finance data reconciliation, cleaning company codes, business partners, new GL, etc. All those things have been automated, along with the other set of tools that we use. We are the largest FRUN customers globally. FRUN is the next generation, solution monitoring solution from SAP, which allows us to monitor and manage thousands of SAP customers globally, thousands of SAP systems globally. Along with that, we use the RPA solutions to really bring the faster migration solutions to the customers, and we keep on innovating by automating their business processes, and we'll talk about RPA in the next slide, in the next section. The next important pillar of the whole automation factory is the complete life cycle, which we cover. So this whole toolkit that we have prepared, some of them are not listed over here, some of them are also our own proprietary tools, where we have invested in terms of automating some of the code remediation activities as well. But the idea really is that this whole toolkit allows you to take care of the complete life cycle of an S4HANA transition project, which includes upgrades, migration to S Cloud, the transformation into S4, and testing and running. I mean, all of this you can achieve in one single downtime window, and really reduce multiple projects and really take it to the next level in the shortest span of time. And to top it up, we have developed a delivery factory, which is headquartered in India, where we have the shared services model and standardized processes and the quality governance processes, which allows us to put the right level of resources, as well as reduce the duplication of resources which I personally see a lot happening with a lot of incumbents in the market, where there are a lot of hundreds of resources being deployed on an S/4HANA project, which from our perspective is not making too much of sense, as it does not add too much of a value, especially in the world of automation where you can automate most of the tasks. So this is the theme that we start off with, and to top it up, we have the data automation, the data transformation automation, which we will talk in a bit. So moving to the next slide, please. I'd like to hand it over to Tariq Hussain. Tariq, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Asim, and thank you to the extended team and allowing us to be here today. And thank you to everyone on the call for joining us. So as Asim said, my name is Tariq Hussain. I take care of sales for SMP in the Asia Pacific region. But just to give you a bit of a heads up, if you haven't heard of us, SMP basically is the global leader in SAP data transformation. We're headquartered in Germany, in Heidelberg. We've been going quite a significant time, since 1994. Today, we're just at around over 1,500 employees and around 30 offices. And critically for our region, of course, you can see the highlighted areas there, but our sort of main business is run out of Singapore, with the delivery teams in Malaysia and in China. We were basically going in Asia since about 2008. We're currently at around 200 people, rapidly expanding, and very, very keen to sort of work with any SAP customers in the current region. And are, as I said, growing to probably 3 or 4 more offices that will open in the coming weeks, and very excited about our partnership with both Microsoft and Cloud4C, because we think it brings a real value proposition to the customers. So next slide, please, Rashik. And the real benefit, I think, of the SMP business and what we bring to the table for this partnership, Asim did touch on, and it's really about experience. I think you want to choose one of the most experienced companies to help you with this sometimes challenging, sometimes complex, sometimes confusing migration to S4, and then even to the cloud. We're aware of many companies that are looking at cloud and then going to S4, looking at going to S4 and cloud at the same time. This is really where you need that experience. And as you can see there, we have completed in our lifetime over 12,500 projects. And we basically are a software company with services that allows us then to migrate some very large complex customers. There's some names here that should be familiar with many of you, people like Vodafone, etc., Kellogg's, which we did a global business with. And the real benefit of our software-based approach is we've taken a lot of the learning from those 12,500 projects, and we've built that into a software automation program. And that what really means is that for you as a customer, you get a number of benefits. Next slide, please. And the key benefits are really 3 main areas that we focus on as SMP as value to you as an SAP customer. Number 1 is time, a significant saving in time to get you from A to B. And again, A to B could be moved to the cloud, could be moved to the cloud in S4, et cetera, et cetera. We have seen with our software-based approach, as opposed to a manual-based approach, savings of up to 75% reduction in timeframes. So this means you get to time to consumption for your cloud business quicker, means you get off the old iron and tin quicker, and you ultimately save money. We also offer significant reduction in downtime cutover, so near zero downtime. So you combine the savings in project length, and multiple projects combined into one, and the downtime savings leads to significant cost savings. But I think also one of the most important areas that we focus on is the lower risk. So it's saving time, lower risk, and basically all of that reduces your cost overall. So what we're seeing with our approach is customers are choosing SMP because of the faster time frame to get them from A to B, the lowest possible risk. And ultimately what it means for all of us in this business is lowering your costs and reducing your footprints. So next slide, please. There's a couple of sort of key benefits that the way we do it, it's very different to the traditional greenfield or brownfield approach. We can convert at any point in time. There's no dependency on your financial year. We operate a flexible software platform that allows you to work with the business as opposed to the technology, that allows you to make decisions based on the business side as opposed to what the technology tells you. We create a copy of your production system into a separate environment. So we literally do not touch your production system. So that can keep on going. We can then put you into the cloud, upgrade you to S4, do an UGL, et cetera, et cetera. So literally minimum disruption and minimum dependency on your current production system. That allows us to do all of our clever things in a separate environment, which means there's zero interruption to you as a business. We take over the system, and then at the end, the near zero downtime part, we take over the data. So we can do all of the checks and balances on the new environment. Let's say it's, of course, Cloud4C Azure environment. We can make sure everything is perfect before bringing that cutover over. It is a transformation without re-implementation. It is not a greenfield approach, throw everything away. We think that's not the great way to do it. And it's also not bring everything across. We look at what is important to you as a business to come across. I'm currently locked down in South Australia, and we have a car manufacturer here that's been making cars for 15 years, but in the past 5 years doesn't make cars, only makes the parts for those cars. They don't need that 10 years worth of historical data of cars they no longer make. They need to go to S4, they need to reduce their costs, but they need to take only the data that's relevant for their business. They don't want to do a brownfield and take everything, and they don't want to start again because there's a lot of good IP they've built into that. So that's a great example where the SMP approach, as opposed to a traditional approach, really gives a number of benefits to our customers. And that is why most customers are choosing a BLUEFIELD approach, which is our trademark, by the way, for their transformation of their SAP landscapes. One more slide, please. I'll give you a couple of examples just to sort of quickly round this out. I think, for me as a salesman, it's much better to hear from the customer, but here's an example of just two standout benefits for Coles, again, here in Australia, one of the largest retail chains in the Australian market. Data savings. So when you move to the Cloud4C environment and you don't take the data you do not need, you reduce your footprint. So in this case with Coles, they went from 2.3 terabytes down to 900 gigabytes. It's obvious what the cost saving for you as a customer will be on that, and significant time savings. We did this project in about 5.5 months. They were getting quotes for traditional movement in around the 24 to 30 months. So when you combine the data saving with the cost saving, it's a significant saving for that customer. And really, I think the customer says it better than I do here when it says the SMP BLUEFIELD approach seemingly does the impossible. And I think, again, that's the key message to get across in this fast and furious couple of minutes they've given me here, is that, we get you there in the fastest time with the lowest risk, and that leads to significant cost savings. One more slide, please. And sort of my last sort of slide going on since it's COVID, and I talked about being locked down in South Australia, we can do this pretty much anywhere. We've actually delivered several projects now entirely remotely, with all of the same benefits that we would have done and had and given to the customer if we'd been on site. And this is an example of a venture here in India, where we completed that project in 5 months. Similar thing, the quotes from traditional SIs are in the sometimes years, but certainly many months. And critically for them, more critically than even that project time saving, was the downtime saving of, getting 48 hours they were getting, we got it down to 20. So the three sort of key messages, and we encourage you to reach out to us, go to our website, reach out to Asim or anyone in Microsoft or C4C. The three key messages I want you to walk away from on this couple of minutes I've had is really the lowest cost, the least time, and the least risk for you to get you from A to B onto the Azure C4C managed service. So thank you very much for that. Sorry, it's fast and furious. We're a bit over time. I'll hand back. So to you, Asim, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Tariq. That's a fascinating S4 story. And I've been, listening a lot about that from you since a long time now. And, I know how much of innovation you bring to these customers as well. So, you've heard about the managed services, you've heard about the S4HANA transformation services, and finally the application management services. It's an important key portfolio, part of the portfolio, simply because as you move to an S4 and you move to the hypercare kind of a support, which is generally a month kind of a support to make sure that the post-go-live activities are smooth, it's important to have a seamless transition to an AMS vendor as well. And that's where, this whole industry-specific application support comes into play. So we are pretty much flexible in terms of offering various kind of application management services. We cover almost all verticals in SAP and all solutions in SAP, be it S4, supply chain, finance, procurement, travel, etc. Any kind of a platform. And that's where the real value add, when you combine these three services, these three offerings, the managed services, the S4 services, and the AMS services, and put it on a monthly fixed fee kind of format, what you really start seeing over a period of time is that maybe for the first couple of years, you're paying a little bit more, but in the last 3 years, in a typical 5-year contract, the managed services fee continues to reduce. And the reason for that is we start learning of your application. We start, reducing the number of FTEs deployed in an AMS project. And we also leverage the RPA, which is the next section which you will learn. We continue to improvise and innovate your business processes and reduce the number of FTEs from both sides, from your side as well as our side. And eventually in a 5-year term, you would see a graph like going up and finally going down. And in the end of the 5 years, we possibly will be impossible for you to change the vendor because our price point will be extremely low. I would love you to take advantage of this. I think this is a very unique offering, and that's where I would like to end my talk right now and pass it over to Mr. Sunil, who heads our the robotic process automation practice at Cloud4C.
Thanks, Asim. Thanks, Asim. Thanks, Tariq. I know I have a quick session to complete. Before I start the session, I just wanted to take a moment in sharing a few interesting statistics on RPA adoption in the Asia region. Analysts have highlighted that RPA spend for the software and the services will be close to $2.9 billion US, and it is growing at a CAGR of 32%. And this gives a great impetus to our division, which I represent. And we are working very closely, and we can share in the next slide our vision of working with the customer as a partner in their digital transformation journey using RPA as a key tool for automation. This slide shares an overview of our RPA practice, and we realize that the most important element in automation is the ability to understand the business of the customer. Our team, which have vast experience in multiple domains, have helped us to understand the customer requirement better. Feasibility study, which is one of the key aspects, is where our domain team works with the customer to understand the current process followed by the organization. Here, we understand the volume of transactions in each process, number of interventions, and the level of automation which can be achieved. The systems involved, as well as the input triggers, play a vital role in this study. We submit a detailed feasibility document to the customer, and then we demonstrate this particular process identified in the feasibility study to the customer and show the automation benefits. We identify one process, do a POC, and after taking the customer's confirmation, we then implement the environment in their system. After implementation, we do a quick turnaround. We not only implement, we also operate, we maintain, and we are constantly a part of the process improvement of the customer's processes. This is where we make a difference of providing RPA as a service and not just as a one-time implementation. We are partners with UiPath, Automation Anywhere, and Intelligent RPA of SAP. We use those platforms and we deliver those 7 key pillars of automation benefits, which we are listed all the way from accuracy to agility. In the next slide, we are going to share our experience. Rishik, in the next slide. Here we have our certified RPA team, along with our domain experts who work on the solutioning, and supported by Asim's team of SAP consultants. As a combination of developer, domain, and SAP consultants, we bring a great amount of unity in optimizing the automation of the processes. We started automation all the way from infrastructure level, starting with Microsoft, all the way up to the SAP, as well as the custom-built applications. We have, in the next slide, we share the highlights of the few processes which we have shared, wherein we covered finance, supply chain, HR, sales across multiple customer segments, starting all the way from healthcare all the way up to BFSI. And I would like to take 2 minutes to discuss on the next slide, wherein we talk about what we have done specifically for SAP practice. Rishik, into the next slide. You can go to the next slide, Rishik. So SAP landscapes are one of the key components of why RPA has become very, very important. Uh, RPA enables multiple inputs like the Word files or the Office files, extracting from the OCR, getting emails, and posting them into an SAP environment. I think this is one way. And moving into the next slide, not just the Office documents, we can show how the RPA can interface with external applications like a cloud application or an in-house custom-built application or a legacy application, extract and post data into multiple scenarios. In the next slide, I would like to share one standard workflow which everyone have been implementing, which is the invoice processing workflow. This involves multiple steps, but RPA enables unition into the entire environment, wherein you have a end-to-end automation achieved. And because this is something which is standard, we have been deploying across the customer environment. However, we have seen 80% of the processes. In the next slide is one example wherein we have deployed customized processes for the customer. Rishi, can we go to the next slide, please? Here, this is a raw milk reception dock process, very specific to an industry. And this is something which are common across all the customers. Everyone have their unique processes, complex, multiple steps involved, multiple interventions there. All of them can be automated using RPA, and this gives a huge amount of benefits across the customers. And we at Cloud4C have been doing this. We have 100 plus processes, and across 20 plus customers, we are having an experience with team with both the developers as well as the domain experts. I hope that we can engage in the future, and within the short span, I thought I could articulate my perspective. Manish, all the way to you, Manish.
Hey, hi, thanks, Sunil, and thanks the rest of the speakers. Before let's move to the next slide. I think we are just about over the time. I'll just take a couple of more slides. Okay, so we are offering to the audience today a workshop, an SAP assessment workshop, which essentially will start with a 30-minute conversation. We will have essentially some high-level understanding of your environment, your priorities, your business priorities, and how do you want to do it in terms of a migration journey, taking your SAP environment to the cloud or cloud journey in general. And we will schedule a 2-week kind of an assessment workshop, depending on your scale of your environment, the complexity, and so on. It could be a few days to a few weeks. And what we will do, and this is a no cost, it's a free of charge, no cost, no obligation kind of a workshop, where we will do, like I said, the cloud assessment framework. We will look at your app infra environment, your versions, and what are the sort of transformation opportunities and paths available as shared by the multiple speakers in today's session. And we will come up with a recommendation report, which essentially details how you should be able to do it and how we can add value in that journey for you. So if you liked what you saw today and heard from our speakers, on the next screen, I will share the feedback form QR code. Please drop us your feedback and we can schedule this particular workshop. So let me just move to the next slide now. So this is just a key takeaway slides, just for us to recap what we have listened to today, so that we sort of just hold on, Rishik, let me just run by one. So the first step is the QR code. So you see the QR code on your screens. Please scan it and submit your feedback, which will allow us to get in touch with you, and we can take this engagement forward. We can answer any questions that were left unanswered from the Q&A chat today, and anything you want us to cover in more detail, we're happy to engage. The next takeaway, thanks Rishik, is around the Cloud4C credentials. So both myself and some of my colleagues, Dilip, Sunil, and Asim shared the credentials that Cloud4C brings to a joint engagement with our partners, Microsoft and SNP. Like the speakers covered, we have 500 plus deployments that comes with a lot of expertise and experience, the automation we spoke about, and we would be the right partners for you. And we're happy to further prove our credentials when we engage. The next takeaway is around the SAP on Azure platform, why Azure is the best platform. And on that session, Luca covered aspects about scalability, security, analytics available, how SAP is leveraging Azure as the choice platform for their own workloads. And that relationship is 30 odd years old. There are other hyperscalers with relationships, but potentially not as strong as Azure. So Azure is definitely the right platform for your SAP environments. And then moving forward, we heard from Dilip about the cloud services, about how Cloud4C is the right platform. And then we heard about SNP talking about risk-free, no capex migrations. We heard from Tariq and Asim how they can help customers like yourself on your S4 HANA journey, as well as other migration journey to the cloud. Post that, I believe we heard from Sunil on the RPA. Yes, how do we automize or automate the multiple processes that we see with our customers in their SAP environments? So this aspect was covered by Dilip as well, and then Sunil saying how we are better able to leverage our understanding of the environment and the processes by putting automation within their processes and helping the customers better manage their environments. And finally, I think I presented the offer just on the last slide. It's a no obligation, no cost assessment that we are offering, bringing our expertise together along with the expertise from Microsoft and SNP. We will be able to undertake a discovery workshop to understand where you are in your journey. And if you think you are ready to make an assessment, maybe if not a decision, then probably an assessment will help you decide whether you're ready or not. And then we can take it from there. With that, I thank everyone for joining us on this session.